So now it continues. Those of you who were here with us at our summit in November had a chance to hear from Julie Regan from Tahoe, also via Zoom, and we're so excited that she's actually here now in person this time. I met Julie a few years back at a tourism conference, World Tourism Conference in Washington, D.C., when she presented about Take Care Tahoe, and I thought, wow, wouldn't this be cool again on Cape Cod? And so we talked, and we brought Take Care here, and we also discovered there's just so many similarities between our destinations. So I'm going to let Julie tell you a little bit more about her background and about Take Care and everything else. So come on up, Julie.
That is a great introduction. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's so much better to see you live and in person than getting up at 4 in the morning on the West Coast. OTARC 30 to do it on Zoom. So for those of you that I got to meet virtually, it's much better to see you in person. And certainly appreciate all the new faces and the commitment to what we've heard today. Gosh, how about that last panel? Can we just give them a round of applause? That was amazing. Like that is where the action is, at the local level, people walking the talk. Because one of the things I want to cover that we all understand is that the concepts are important and to have that theoretical basis, but where the rubber meets the road is doing it in reality and really making change on the ground. So I just want to thank a few folks first. Before I jump in, I want to thank Jill for all of her leadership to bring Take Care to Cape Cod, to this beautiful place, and the board and all the supporters of Care for the Cape and Islands. Really happy to meet the Center for Coastal Studies and the Cape Cod Anti-Litter Coalition folks in person, and all the sponsors. I'm staying at the Hampton Inn. I'm having a great stay, so really appreciate those lodging supporters and all the many other sponsors of today. And I wanted to begin, before we dive into the Take Care Tahoe discussion, to say how ironic and fascinating and wonderful it is, to be here in the ancestral home of the Wampanoag. I was talking to Debbie from New Zealand earlier, that the care and respect of our indigenous communities and First Nations was the way of life. And we are finally seeing that we need to embrace those ideals in how we live as European settlers to this place. So I see this great new synergy coming into being, but it is hard work. And one of the key messages I'll say, spoiler alert right up front, is that collaboration is challenging, it is hard work, but it is essential. It is not optional, it is essential. With the challenges that we are facing, from climate change, economic pressures, a global pandemic, outdoor recreation booming, and people wanting to get to beautiful places like the Cape, like Tahoe, we have to collaborate. It's no longer optional, it's essential. And it's hard work. So I'm gonna get into a little bit of how you do that, and then we're gonna have some Q&A. After my talk, we'll talk about questions that arise, and then we're gonna facilitate a discussion at the very end before we send you off to lunch. And I'm sorry to be the last person you have before lunch, but we'll keep it interesting and we'll keep it moving. So if you want to stretch and move around in your seat to get going, feel free to do. I know we've been sitting a lot this morning, but it's delightful to be here, and I'm very happy to be in this beautiful place. My first trip to the Cape. I grew up in Delaware. I think I mentioned to some of you when we were on Zoom, I'm an East Coast native, but I'm learning so much about the Cape. I've learned terms like I'm a wash ashore. That was a new one for me. I'm learning how things work in the Cape. I grew up near Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, so I'm a coastal person. Jill took me to the beach my first day here on Tuesday, which was sunny and gorgeous, and I just got out of the car and smelled that salt air and went, okay, this is home. I feel at home. But now, for the last almost 30 years, I'm almost a Tahoe local. You kind of have a 30-year track record to be in Lake Tahoe before you're considered a real local. I'm almost there. I've been out there since the early 90s, and you all know, I'm sure, where Lake Tahoe is. We have this whole arm thing a little bit in common. We have the elbow of California, kind of like the Cape muscle. Who has been to Tahoe in the audience? I'm just curious. A lot of people. Okay, so you know where we are. You know it's gorgeous. We have 2 incredible seasons. We have a ski season in the winter and sadly a little bit less snow in our future, but we know that. We're working on that. And then we have an incredible summer season and a peak around both of those. So we've heard from folks, you know, hey, I moved to Tahoe to ski. I stayed for the summer because the summer is really, it's like no other. One thing I pointed out as I was preparing for this when we were on Zoom, how interesting it is that we have such similar metropolitan areas close to our beautiful places. You know, in Tahoe, our big drive-up market is largely from San Francisco, roughly 4 hours from the Tahoe Basin. And we are a geologic basin, so if you hear me use that word basin, that's what I'm talking about. We're a watershed. It's a bowl, and it runs right down from the top of the mountain to the lake. And so our drive-up community comes from the Bay Area. That's largely where our second home population resides, similar to the second home populations that you have in other places, whether it be Boston or New York. Sacramento's kind of like our Boston. It's about 2 hours away, so we have a lot of day visitors, a lot of day trippers that come up from the Sacramento area. And Reno's about an hour away, depending on which end of the lake you are. So we have a considerable drive market. We are always working to get more destination business where people fly in. We have people from all over the world that come to Tahoe. But part of what we've experienced during COVID, I'm sure you have too, is that the day tripper drive market has grown substantially as people want to get outside. And so I just found that really fascinating that we do have a lot in common. Heavy traffic. We heard this morning, you know, how long does it take to get to Wellfleet? Well, it could be a half an hour, it could be an hour and a half. Same in Tahoe. You know, I live in an area where people come into town on Sundays in a storm, in ski season, can't leave the house until about 6 p.m. to go to the grocery store, or it really might take me 2 hours instead of a 15-minute drive. So I get it, you know, I feel that pain. It's often a blessing and a curse when you live in a resort town, but that's part of the joy. So we both have a couple of complicated areas, and I just wanted to contrast this map because I'm very fascinated with the amount of towns that you have, you know, 15 towns in one region. We have one incorporated city on the California side, that's the city of South Lake Tahoe. That is similar to, I think, where we sit in this end of the Cape. It's the biggest population base, but we have several counties, and we have a very big presence of the federal government. 80% of our land is national system lands, National Forest Service. And we also have about 8 to 10 federal agencies that work very diligently in Tahoe, and we have 2 states. So my organization was formed by an interstate compact between California and Nevada. Our mission is very similar to the Cape Cod Commission. I'm going to go and meet with them tomorrow. I'm really excited to hear more about what they do. I looked on their website. They have some fabulous reports. I was able to pull that map of the Cape out and really look at some of the trends that they're tracking. They have a very interesting mission. Similar to us, we get into land use, we manage development, we set actual growth caps for local jurisdictions and local counties. That's all been litigated all the way to the Supreme Court. So we come from a background that was difficult. And I wanted to give you a little context before we talk about Take Care, because you don't snap your fingers and have it be successful out of the gate. You have to build on a foundation. Sometimes that's painful. And we went through litigation, we went through adversarial times in our communities where the environment was pitted against the economy. Now we've come through all that, and we say in Tahoe, the environment is the economy, and the economy is the environment. They are together. That's why people come to Tahoe. But honestly, it took a long time. But your incredible coastline, your really similarity in terms of your natural resource beauty is so much similar to what we have in Tahoe that I find that we have so much in common to talk about. Your year-round residential population is a little bigger than ours. We have less than 60,000 people that live in Tahoe year-round, but we go about to 15 million people visitorship annually. And so if you all have been to Yosemite, think about Tahoe as about 3 times smaller than Yosemite in terms of our whole watershed, but we get 3 times more people. And so that is a huge challenge when it comes to taking care of a place. We all know, as I said, that the economy of Tahoe is tourism-based. We're trying to diversify that economy, but it's significant. We have about a $5 billion annual economy, 15 million visitors. I loved how the facilitator at the last panel said money is needed to function. You know, I believe love makes the world go round, but let's be honest, money is necessary to function, and that comes into play when you're talking about stewardship and taking care of a place, because investments are needed. We share so much with you in terms of all the challenges of workforce housing, affordable housing. There was just an article in the national media that Tahoe has become a place for the 1% wealthiest individuals in America to buy their properties. Our properties have tripled in value in 10 years, and I know all of you can appreciate that. So what does that mean? That means people who work in our hotels, on the Nevada side, we have casinos, people who are trying to come here for our hospitals and for our other support services, they cannot afford to live in Tahoe, and we have a huge task force that's going on looking at housing issues right now, and I know that you all share some of those issues. And then, as I mentioned, during the pandemic, where some tourist destinations literally shut down, they were closed, they were dying on the vine. Instead, Tahoe was a place where people drove and they wanted to get outdoors. People were dying to be out in nature. And so what does that mean? That means where humanity is, and you know, all of you are fighting this every day with your anti-litter initiatives. Trash. People bring trash. And what we saw, we had some positive sides in that people were coming to Tahoe and using the outdoor hiking trails and natural amenities. People that maybe would have gone to Disneyland before. They maybe didn't have experience with leave no trace philosophies and expected other people to pick up their trash, because that's how it is at an amusement park, let's just say. So we got new visitors to Tahoe, but sometimes they didn't understand that ethic of pack it in, pack it out, don't leave your trash. So what does that do? That means our local residents get darn mad. You know, I've been reading a lot on the literature. I'm pursuing a PhD in environmental science at the University of Nevada, Reno, and I am studying this very question. How do you not ruin a place? How do you not love a place to death in an area that depends on tourism for your economy? It is very challenging. So the term is resident rebellion, residents rising. People are mad. People are mad about Airbnb having a vacation home rental with a bachelor party when their kids have to go to school the next morning and there's noise. People leave their trash. We have a bear issue. Bears get into people's trash. So we have a local community that's pretty up in arms when it gets to a peak fever pitch on our congested peak holidays. And so you see in that picture, tourists go away. Take your trash. It's the term over-tourism. This creates a divide, and it really creates a divide with our local business community and our tourism officials who are trying to generate tourism to pay for the economy of our town. So we've had a lot of work to do to bring folks together, even before we could get into executing on the Take Care initiative. And I just really want to say thank you to all of the chamber officials and officials from the local towns and the business community that are here, because without that public-private partnership, honestly, we may as well pack it up and go home. It's essential. I found in looking at the Cape Commission website also some really interesting research that's been done about your part-time / second seasonal homeowner. We've had the same uptick in use. You know, the Zoom town is a term that you've all heard, where destinations like ours that are situated near metropolitan areas like New York, Boston, for us, San Francisco, Sacramento, etc. People are maybe staying, you know, not going home after the weekend. They're saying, oh, I can work from my deck in Lake Tahoe. I can work from my porch in Cape Cod. They're sticking around. And that is changing the dynamic of our communities, and it can be a wonderful thing. I look at it as an opportunity because, by and large, that audience is affluent. If they can afford a part-time seasonal residence, they have an ability to contribute even more to the community, and they are often untapped in our second. In that particular community, sometimes we're not embracing them because they sit on boards and they volunteer in their primary residence. So how can we better tap them? But I found these stats pretty interesting. You know, the demographic is shifting older, a pretty attractive demographic from a business standpoint. And I know today's the young professionals meeting as well, so we have a couple meetings going on at once. But this market, I think, from a business standpoint, has great potential for all the businesses that I just heard from, and people are staying longer. And that wasn't just true here on the Cape. They're also staying longer in their second homes across the country and certainly in Tahoe. So let's move to collaboration. We've had to build this culture of collaboration for decades and decades, and we did it under something we call the Environmental Improvement Program. And that really is a framework that everyone can see themselves in. I was having a great conversation this morning of, you know, if you have 15 towns and you have different parts that identify with their local community, how in the heck do you get people to see themselves in something bigger, something that is collaborative? Because as human beings, our natural instinct is, okay, this is my town, this is my local community, how do I engage at a bigger level? And it's really about seeing the benefits. Right back, my favorite radio station, the WIFM, What's in It for Me. And what we've tried to do with our environmental improvement program, which Take Care lives under, is have that federal, state, local, private partnership where everybody wins. And because we have done that with our federal delegation, we have this summit every year in August. Last year in August, we had Secretary Deb Haaland, the first Native American cabinet secretary in our nation, speak on the shores of Lake Tahoe. It's hosted by our members of the Senate, but I would say as much love as your delegation must have for Cape Cod, that's a way to leverage and amplify this voice. You know, go down to the Capitol and have a briefing. The Capitol's reopening slowly, but do a briefing on what you're doing in Tahoe and invite everyone from Massachusetts and neighboring delegations, because this is interesting. When people in Washington hear that you collaborate, it actually sets off some bells and show some results from that as you move forward. We had the president that came to Tahoe in 2016. Part of our secret sauce, as we call it, is that public-private connection. It's also the bipartisan unification and the bridge that has, because everyone, we heard it on the panel, everyone loves Lake Tahoe, everyone loves Cape Cod. That's a uniter in a time when, honestly, it's pretty polarized. So we use that to leverage relationships. And so I talked about this when we were on Zoom before. You know, we've had a longer duration of the Take Care program, and we're so happy with the picture at the bottom here in Cape Cod. We focus on litter, we focus on all of our issues. Some of them are similar, some of them are different. You're obviously in a marine environment, we're in a lake environment. We have a ton of partners. We celebrate the partnership. The Tahoe Fund, which is the logo in the middle there, is a nonprofit sponsor that we work with. And my organization, the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency, and the Tahoe Fund really were the backbone supporters of Take Care, just in the way that CARE has been for the Take Care here. And honestly, you have to have it, because with so many cooks in the kitchen, the soup can be delicious, or you might get a little too much salt, let's be honest. Like, you've got to have people that help steer the collaborative, because they can get unwieldy and they can get big. But it's really important to celebrate that as a strength and to capitalize on that, and that's what we've been working on for so many years. We have issues, same as you. We have waste. We have microplastics. Did anybody hear the study that just came out a couple weeks ago about microplastics being in the human body? A couple people. You know, plastic is in our world. I just commend the work of the businesses we just heard from to try to reduce the amount of plastic. Plastics can be life-saving. We wear helmets to ride our bikes and to ski, and we have plastic in our phones and our computers, but it's in our bloodstream now, and a lot more research has to be done about what that means and is that harmful, and it's going to take years of research to really understand it. But we found microplastics. Those are the really teeny, tiny particles on our beaches. So they're in the sand, they're in the lake water, and we actually export all of our wastewater out of the Tahoe Basin. We banned septic tanks in 1970. So it's not getting into the watershed from the wastewater, which is really more common in how it gets into the bloodstream and into the waterways across the country. So that means it's most likely trash. It could be the roadways running into our lake. So that's a big issue for us. You all probably heard about something called the Caldor fire that we had last year. absolutely devastating, several 100,000 acres. It came into the basin. It burned around the corner from my house. I see this scar every day. We had to evacuate. We've known for many years that this is going to get worse as the mega fire season, and honestly, there is no more fire season. It can happen at any time. We have a lot of work to do to educate people about being careful with fire. Roughly 90% of wildfires are caused by humans. So that's an opportunity for Take Care. Dog waste. I love this little graphic of our dog there. Picking up after pets is a huge issue. I know it is for you all here too. So we've been targeting that. We've actually been doing some social science research. Why do people not pick up? Or if they do pick up, sometimes they leave the plastic bag on the trail. Like, why? Why is that happening? We're getting into it. We're analyzing what are the barriers and what are the benefits. What do people see as a benefit for picking up or not? And so we're doing more research on that. All of these issues, you have cigarette litter, aquatic invasive species is a big issue for us. People bring it in on their boats, and we do boat inspections to make sure that they're not polluting our lake. The tap water, the microplastics really come in the form of those plastic water bottles. So all the work that the organizations here are doing is all in the right direction in terms of combating microplastics, fire and litter, and of course our bears. So the messages are funny. You all know your messages around Take Care. They get people's attention because part of the challenge, quite honestly, we're bombarded with information 24/7. How do you break through? How do you do this in a way that is entertaining and will get people's attention? That's the whole idea behind Take Care, and to have that signature brand, which is so critical to penetrating the message and really making people think about their actions in a way that isn't preachy, that isn't just eyes roll in the back of your head and glaze over, but it's humorous, and the kids love it. We'll see if this works. I don't think the volume is going to hear, but I'm just going to narrate. You get the gist. It's a fun little song. It's about dog poop. No one's going to magically pick up your poop. There is no poop fairy. That's basically what the commercial was saying. And we have a bazillion of those little fun videos. You probably do as well on your site. But it's just a way to get the message out in a creative way. We've mentioned lodging as partners and hospitality. This doesn't happen without the support of that community. We have to connect not only when people get to Tahoe, not only when people get to the Cape, but we also need to connect with them before they make their way. So we've invested in billboard campaigns, and I was talking with Jill. We do not have billboards by design. My organization has rules that don't allow billboards in the Tahoe Basin. The last billboard came down about 20 years ago. It was grandfathered, and so there are no more from a scenic resource protection standpoint. But the truth is they do get messages across. So we buy billboards in Sacramento, in Reno, in the drive feeder markets to advertise Take Care. We have different messages by season. Obviously, no fire. We have something called sled-etiquette. Don't leave your plastic sled debris on the mountain. If your sled breaks, take the trash out with you. So we do that in the winter, and we rotate those. I mean, we're talking a couple $100,000 to do a billboard campaign. All of you in marketing and work at the chambers, you know how expensive billboards are, but they do work. So we're using that. We're growing our awareness. We also have the RAT card, similar to the information that you have. Trash belongs in the cans, know before you go. All of these were really crucial, particularly in terms of COVID messages on getting people to know what the issues are before they arrive at your destination. This is really the business case for Taking Care. We have to pivot to know our customers and what they expect. Outdoor recreation is serious business, and interestingly, the Government Office in Statistics through Department of Commerce really did not track outdoor recreation as a sector until just a few years ago. It was embedded in lots of other sectors, so there's now a new category for outdoor recreation that's tracked. And there is a industry association, the Outdoor Industry Association, that's been lobbying for this for years. And so now we know that the outdoor rec sector is as big as mining and utilities. You think about the power of that voice. You have an outdoor recreation sector. I mean, everything from REI gear, to fishing rods. That's the outdoor rec sector. So they can be partners as we get these messages out there, and it's just growing. Like, we know that sector is growing, and there's no signs of stopping, because more people got a taste of going to the outdoors during COVID, and they liked it. And they're going to be going to all kinds of places like our 2 destinations. Our consumers expect to have that kind of take care ethic, and they're going to start demanding it. And I think that's going to happen over time, but being ahead of the curve, as you are, is a good place to be as this kind of campaign can grow. And social responsibility is something I think that everyone wants to know about. I mean, it really was heartening for me to hear the kind of response that our local businesses are getting from the customer. I mean, the customer is the ultimate judge of value. So for them to say, I want to take care of Cape Cod, that was exciting. And I told Jill yesterday I was hoping to run around a little bit and see more of the Cape. It was pouring rain, so I got a lot of work done, but then I did my part to add to your local coffers in the tax collection at Macy's. And when I was at Macy's, it said, would you like to round up for the Trust for Public Land? You bet. So they're already doing that at the cash register. I went to Staples. I had to get something, and I made a donation to the local school. So I think your community is already well positioned to have that kind of question at that point of, put your chip in the card reader and rounding up $1. There's actually a new study that's saying that people actually do give more if it's a roundup versus a separate dollar. There's something mentally about that price point, and rounding up is netting more revenue for these kinds of causes than the dollar. But either one is a way to go. So corporate partnerships, Raley's is our local grocery store. They have this program. It's actually $1 for the Tahoe Fund, which helps administer the Take Care program. So not only are we promoting Drink Tahoe Tap at the actual merchandising level in the grocery stores, but we're also giving folks an option when they check out at the grocery store. And as was alluded to, we have something called a Green Bucks program at restaurants. And so you can either give $1 or you can give any amount when you go to a participating restaurant and you get your bill. And that is generating hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue to keep these kinds of programs out there. And it helps us get more market saturation. So Drink Tahoe Tap, we are blessed to have a lake that holds 37 trillion gallons of water, and it's delicious. And so our partners at the grocery store are selling these really cool water bottles and in prominent locations, and also a portion of that goes back into the Take Care program. So everyone, either if you're staying for a week or if you come up for the day, you're probably going to go to the grocery store. So I think your grocery stores and your local markets are a great way to get the word out about Take Care. One of the things that we learned from research, we always counted our visitor base around maybe 6 million. We did a cell phone study that pings devices, your phone, your tablet. We found we were undercounting the day trippers substantially. Day trippers that come up for the day to ski, go to the beach, and go home that night are probably 40% of our visitors. And most of them are not paying hotel TOT, transient occupancy taxes. They're probably not spending a lot in shopping, so the grocery store is the way to get to them. And that's what we've been trying to do more and more of with Take Care. And luckily, one of the executive members of Raley's is on the Tahoe Fund board, the nonprofit that works with us to be that backbone entity for the Take Care program. The other way we've reached folks is through signage. We've got thousands of signs that we put around our beaches, around hiking trails, and we've done a lot with the pet stations for dog poop pickup, and that really is important. We got big on the masking campaign, as you did here during the pandemic. And why does this matter? As I said, the outdoor rec growth is here and here to stay. But just look at the numbers. 42% of those responded in this survey from destination analysts said, their interest is up, and it's going to continue to be up. So the more that this goes that direction, I think that is an opportunity for us to reach even more people and build that support going forward. Ambassadors are something that I touched on last time, and I wanted to report the good news that we are actually now budgeting in our local town budget from the city of South Lake Tahoe. They're staffing about 4 ambassadors to go to key beach locations. You know, we don't have a peak congestion problem every day of the year, but in July and key days throughout the summer, we have what we call pressure points. So these ambassadors are going out to the beach to tell people about Take Care. They're actually in those little vests that have Take Care on the back. These are some student volunteers that we gave an award to last summer. We piloted this last year. It was a huge success. We recorded thousands of interactions, 912 that we counted. We know it's more than that. These folks were stationed at trailheads. We have something called the Tahoe Rim Trail, and they're a key partner. And they have gone out to all the big trailhead areas to let people know, pack in, pack out your trash. You know, there are no bathrooms, there is no spa at the top of the hill. Like, you know, we've got to, you know, take care of Lake Tahoe. So we are building this now into our budgets for Parks and Rec. And that's been a huge shift because that was not a priority before. Local governments have a lot of priorities. This now is rising, you know, to the level of a priority that is important. Because we know if we don't, you know, trouble can happen very easily. What's next? Couple things for the future. Trying to be more of an inclusive resort destination. We need to do better at our multilingual communication, so we have things translated in Spanish, we have activity workbooks for kids in English and Spanish, and we want to be known for a diverse, equitable, and inclusive resort destination, and we're hoping Take Care can be a way that shows that we are that at Lake Tahoe. The fire issues, you know, we're gearing up. We had 200 inches of snow in December, and then we had nothing in January, February, and March. So we're all really geared up for a big fire season, so we're continuing that billboard campaign. And then as Dr. Miller this morning said, the big push for us, and we are so pleased to work with Crest, is in the future of tourism, and how do we reshape our tourist destination from a model that is solely measured by heads on beds. You know, the model of economics is what we know. That is important because, as we said, it takes money to function, but what are the other measures of success that really value our communities, that look at our local residents' quality of life, traffic? How do we better account for those in the tourist equation, and how do we grow and thrive and not do one at the expense of the other? It sounds great on paper, but let me tell you, it's very hard. I'll give you a quick anecdote. We have a steering committee, a core team that's probably 14 or 15 organizations, just to arrive at what is the proper name for this endeavor. What is the name? Should the word tourism be in it? Should the word destination? Should the word stewardship be in it? It's a good word, but people sometimes don't know what that means. Sustainability, no one knows what that means. So we're having these kind of conversations like on the ground about how we even arrive at a proper naming nomenclature for this initiative. And that's what collaboration is, and it can be messy, but we're all committed to the goal. We're all committed to looking at a different future for our lake, that one that is not just about marketing Tahoe as a place to go, not just a place to party, which also is part of our visitor base, but we have to market that ethos, that ethic of taking care of Tahoe. And we've made huge strides in getting we have 3 DMOs, the Destination Marketing Organizations, 2 on the North Shore, 1 on the South Shore, working hand in hand with our land managers, the U.S. Forest Service, our state parks, with my organization as a government entity, lots of nonprofits, local governments, all saying we're not just in the marketing business anymore, we're in the destination marketing and management business, visitor management, because we have to get a handle on this or it's going to ruin the very natural resource that everyone is attracted to and coming to in the first place. So trying to have some culture shifts and some systemic changes, it takes time, it takes commitment, but that is what we're squarely in the midst of. We just kicked this project off, and we're having our first public workshops in May ahead of our busy summer season. I know you all are looking forward to your busy summer season as well, and it will be here right around the corner. So what you heard from Greg is truly what we're trying to get to, what we're aspiring to, creating that shared vision, North and South Shore. I was chatting earlier, we have a 72-mile lake. It's a very big lake, multiple jurisdictions, and there are differences in those communities. And to get folks to come out of the space of competition, because they're also competitors from ski resorts on the north end versus ski resorts on the south end, hotels, etc. Getting into that mindset of collaboration versus competition is an evolving journey, and we have made great strides, but we still have a long way to go. So we are not only targeting how we're going to manage all the litter on the trails this summer, short term, but also long term. What are those new measures of success, and what are we going to hold ourselves to going forward? And trying to influence that visitor behavior change. Because at the end of the day, Take Care is a fantastic program, but we are actually trying to change behavior. Just in the same way that tobacco, we had to change behavior and attitudes around smoking, and it took a long time, but there is a tipping point that I feel like we're getting to as a society, and there's a shift that we want to be ahead of with our programming. So growing a culture of caretaking can't happen without the 3 T's. I mean, those of you who all serve on boards, whenever you're on a board of a nonprofit, they always talk about it in that 3 T's. The time, talent, and treasure. You've got to have the sweat equity. You've got to give your time. The talent, you want to have people with know-how about how to do these things. And your treasure. That's the financial investment, and it just doesn't happen without it. And we have to think of how do we position this program that is a win for everyone, where our business community looks at it not as an extra thing to do, but an essential thing to do, and a thing that will actually bear fruit in terms of how they market their respective businesses and the community going forward. So time, talent, and treasure. And I am so delighted again to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to just share a little bit of the Cape. The whole thing, I will say, if you looked at our picture of the lake, we're kind of like the foot. I don't know, I kind of like that arm. Anybody have the emoji on the arm on their phone? I never even thought about it with Cape Cod. Now I'll think of you guys every time I do one of those to my friends in a text message. But thank you for having me, and I look forward to your questions. All right. Great. Shall we?
I just had one quick question.
Great.
Do you think the Cape Cod Commission would be a really good organization for collaborating and sort of bring together the 15 towns in this regard? As you were looking through the materials, is there a corollary to the Tahoe?
Excellent question. Could the commission be a convener? I would love to talk to them about that tomorrow when I sit down. I'm going to sit down with their director and their deputy director. That is what we do. I didn't want to bore you with the gory details of what my organization does every day, but because we're an interstate compact and we have a watershed, our role often is convener, having that backbone support to bring people together. And I'd be happy to raise that with them, because I do feel like that is an opportunity. With that, there's special legislation that created them, just like with us. They cover the whole area. What a great opportunity, because without that, it's sometimes difficult, to bring all the various parties together. But yeah, I would see that as an opportunity. Happy to raise the flag and talk it through with them. But certainly there are other opportunities for other organizations as well. But great idea. Yeah. Other questions? Should we roll right into the facilitation? Okay. All right. So we're going to end this great morning. I'm inspired. I don't know about you guys. This was a great day. So we're going to talk about how can we get Take Care Cape Cod to benefit you, your businesses, and your community, how to drive awareness and message saturation, because, we've been at this for many years. We are not even at the tipping point of overall awareness of this campaign. The brand experts in the room know it takes years and years and years and money and money and money to do that. So we're working on that still. And then how can we build financial support to achieve all those goals? So let's start with the first one, and we're going to go popcorn style. Just jump up and raise your hand. How can we have the Take Care Cape Cod benefit all of you? What would you say is a way to do that? Come on, don't be shy. John.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've talked a lot about branding, and, you referenced the Code CSR study, which shows there's an actual financial benefit to associate yourself with a powerful brand. So I think the Take Care brand alone, being represented in businesses and consistently across the region, holds a lot of value.
So signage, visibility, just spreading it out. Head nod, do we generally agree? Yes? I'm seeing some head nods. Yes. And so that is, Jill, do you want to say how to do that? How do people just go online and they get the toolkit?
Right. It's free. You use any of the images that you want and line up.
Great. And I want to point out, we've been talking about investment. I was really struck by what Brian said about the seashore, how they've reduced greenhouse gases like almost by 30%. But yet at the same time, they didn't lose visitorship. So I think there's a perception sometimes that our environmental goals have to come at the expense of the bottom line. And that is not always true. So a case in point, we can do both. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can do these campaigns and actually raise revenue because you might end up attracting more support than you think to offset any cost that there might be.
I just wanted to mention two other things. We have a great committee that your pictures are out front that help put this together. We want more businesses to get involved. And the third thing of how people are. We also have a program called an affiliate partner. So anyone who is displaying signs, serving on our committees, can sign up to be an affiliate partner. There's no membership fees, there's nothing. You're just showing your support. You'll be, your logo will be put on the Take Care website, you'll link up to your site, and it just again reinforces the credibility and your commitment to the whole program.
And one thing I'll add to that, Jill, what we've found in Tahoe, our lodging properties are key, and lodging staff change all the time. So we've really had to rely on volunteers to go to lodging properties at the beginning of the season, talk to the concierge, talk to the front desk, give the materials, and let them know that this program exists because it's good for their guests to know these things. It's actually less of a headache for them in many respects when that is done proactively. So that goes right into the next bullet, message saturation. So how about some other ideas of just getting the word out around the Cape? What about, people coming in, knowing before they go? What are your thoughts around that?
I think it would be great to have some information available on the ferry being in Martha's Vineyard. That's a key point.
Great idea. On the ferries, absolutely. Some messaging. I'm not sure if they have advertisers or what their opportunities are, but man, that's a great idea.
Highline did have a super straw message up, but we did speak with the station authority without success. And sharing messages. I will also tell you that we've had support from the local Chiefs of Commerce. When we look at their, this is going to be the second year in a row with the guide, that most of them have an ad from a Take Care
I see another hand in the front here.
Have you ever approached the Regional Transit Authority for anything like
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Are they interested?
Yeah, they've been our Tahoe actually in all of their buses, and they're in the transportation.
Yes.
And certainly also ferry to Provincetown as well, because people come to Provincetown by ferry. But I say realtors is a huge way to drive it because so many people come to Cape Cod and come and stay in.
Great suggestions. Realtors in Tahoe are the same. They are the touch points. Property managers, realtors, and for new homes. I mean, homes are selling like hotcakes in our 2 destinations. So why not get some materials to those offices? Realtors love prizes. We go around and talk to realists. We go to sales meetings. We give out stickers. They get excited. So Jill needs names. Yeah, any contacts that you all have. What we try to do with our internal teams, with the logos that you saw on the screen, each of us are ambassadors ourselves, just to get the word out, because it will take everyone. Because really, people are busy. They're doing other things. They have businesses to run. We need to make it as easy as possible. So these are great suggestions. I think I saw another hand somewhere. John.
So Julie, one thing a light bulb that went on for me was when you mentioned billboards in, say, San Francisco or Sacramento or other Bay areas. We should absolutely look at that in Boston, right? And maybe there's some donated, opportunities to get those signage companies to donate. If they have a digital billboard, they're rotating through, I don't know, probably some of the big resorts are already on those billboards. And maybe we can do that sequence and get people thinking before they leave.
Yeah, honestly, the billboards are a great way to reach people, and they're expensive. So that wouldn't be possible for us without our partnership with the visitors authorities that were already doing media buys in those markets, but leveraging those buys and figuring out where could we have an opportunity. Oh, a board just became available. We need to get it out there. Let's work together. And everyone pitched in. So that's a great idea, John. I think that's got some merit. It's working for us. Oh, I see a hand back here. Fairs are a great way to reach people. It's fun. It's in an atmosphere where people are enjoying themselves. The very campaign lends itself to festivals, fairs, art shows, all kinds of things I know that you do here as routine. Incorporate that. And tabling, of course, is a way to do that. And that takes resources and staff, but maybe volunteers could help the teams that are out there trying to get out in the field. I think I saw another hand. Yep, Jill. Go ahead, please.
I wanted to call out to Max from, he's my America member, and he's been putting up a lot of organizations, has reached out to 4-H, and it's like we already have a presence in these 4 cares, Cape Crusaders campaign, which is characters that are in activities for children, but I'm sure we'll have Take Care messages there as well, and for their meeting people from us, so, looking for volunteers to staff it.
Great. And then, of course, all of this takes the financial support. A lot of these we've been overlapping in our discussion already, but I am told that you do have some support from lodging properties that will be coming forward, and that is exciting. And from our experience, if we had a couple of key partners, we started small with our ski resorts and with lift tickets. And now our ski resorts, which we have many, are giving probably $50,000 a year just from lift tickets. It's an opt out, so you're automatically charged an extra $1, kind of like the auto camp opportunity, and that's generating substantial revenue. But we got them on board early with Take Care, and then others followed, and then the restaurants followed. So it really just is true. It takes a spark, and others then will say, hey, I want to get involved with that with my business. So any other business sectors that we haven't talked about so far that we want to help target? Jill's taking notes, and we are recording this so we can get back to you.
So thank you all so much. We are going to send you out some follow-up information. Please send us feedback of anything else that we should be talking about. I want to let you know that to save the date for November 3rd, we already have things lined up for our next session at Heritage Museums and Gardens. Roadside, there is no away for roadside trash. Is there something, Lorraine, that please tell me? Just a thank you to my AmeriCorps members, thank you to all the volunteers, thank you for our sponsors. This is amazing.